Hello everyone, welcome to the Mysterious Stories channel, where you'll discover the most mysterious, scary, and fascinating stories. Make sure to turn up the volume and get ready for a spine-chilling experience you won't forget. The Haunting of Crescent Fort, a nightmare in Vietnam. In the heart of Vietnam's dense jungle stands Crescent Fort, a long-abandoned military outpost with a dark and haunting past. Built during the Vietnam War, Crescent Fort was the site of fierce combat and unspeakable atrocities. Soldiers who were stationed here spoke of a malevolent presence that seemed to grow stronger as the war progressed. When the outpost was abandoned, it left behind a legacy of suffering and anger. Locals believe that the souls of those who perished here remain trapped, unable to find peace. Major James Donovan, an experienced and disciplined officer, is assigned the daunting task of investigating Crescent Fort for possible reintegration into military operations. His team includes Captain Emily Carter, a skilled strategist with a personal history of encountering the supernatural; Sergeant Mark Davis, a battle-hardened veteran with a deep understanding of Vietnamese folklore; Corporal Lena Nguyen, a brave medic with a passion for historical mysteries; Private Thomas Reed, a young and impressionable soldier eager to prove himself. Their guide is Phuong, a local historian who warns them of the fort's sinister reputation but agrees to lead them through the treacherous jungle. The team sets out for Crescent Fort, braving treacherous terrain and hostile wildlife. As they venture deeper into the jungle, they encounter unsettling signs, eerie symbols carved into trees, strange noises, and an oppressive feeling of being watched. Phuong's unease grows, and he recounts disturbing tales of soldiers who vanished without a trace or were driven mad by the fort's influence. By the time they arrive at Crescent Fort, the atmosphere is thick with foreboding. The fort's crumbling walls and overgrown vegetation create a hauntingly beautiful yet sinister scene. As night falls, the team sets up camp within the fort's walls. The silence is broken only by the distant cries of jungle creatures and the occasional rustle of the wind. Despite their efforts to stay calm, the team experiences unsettling phenomena: cold spots, flickering lights, and disembodied whispers. Captain Carter, while on patrol, spots a shadowy figure moving between the ruins. When she investigates, the figure vanishes, leaving behind a chilling cold that seems to seep into her bones. The next day, the team explores the barracks, which appear untouched by time. They find old uniforms, rusted weapons, and unsettling graffiti scrawled on the walls. Among the debris, they discover a series of photographs showing soldiers with expressions of terror. One photograph depicts a soldier, Private Alan Morris, whose eyes seem to follow the viewers. Sergeant Davis identifies Morris as one of the soldiers who was rumored to have gone mad before disappearing. As they investigate further, they experience more intense supernatural activity: objects moving on their own, sudden temperature drops, and shadowy figures darting past their peripheral vision. Phuong leads the team to an ancient altar hidden within the fort's inner courtyard. According to legend, this altar was used for dark rituals by the soldiers to attempt to communicate with the spirits. They perform a traditional cleansing ritual, hoping to pacify the restless spirits and lift the fort's curse. During the ritual, the team feels an overwhelming presence surrounding them. The air grows heavy with sorrow and anger, and the ground beneath the altar trembles. Ghostly apparitions of soldiers begin to appear, their faces twisted in torment. The ritual appears to have stirred something malevolent within Crescent Fort. The team's psychological state deteriorates rapidly. Private Reed begins to hear voices urging him to commit acts of violence, while Corporal Nguyen experiences vivid and disturbing visions of past atrocities. Captain Carter and Sergeant Davis find themselves in a labyrinthine section of the fort, where the walls seem to close in on them. They are haunted by apparitions of soldiers who accuse them of abandoning their comrades. As night descends, the fort is enveloped in a sinister mist. The spirits become more aggressive, manifesting as ghastly figures with anguished expressions. The team is besieged by horrifying apparitions, including ghostly soldiers who attack them with unseen forces. The fort's haunting reaches its peak when the malevolent entity, a powerful spirit bound to Crescent Fort, emerges. This entity, known locally as the General's Ghost, was a commanding officer whose cruelty led to countless deaths. It appears as a towering figure with hollow eyes and an aura of darkness. Desperate to escape, the team fights their way through the fort, but the spirit's wrath seems insurmountable. The General's Ghost pursues them relentlessly, its cries echoing through the fort's halls. The team's unity is tested as fear and paranoia take hold. Captain Carter, Sergeant Davis, and Fuang attempt to find a way out while dealing with the constant supernatural onslaught. They are guided by a series of cryptic messages left by past occupants of the fort, leading them to a potential escape route. The team's escape is fraught with peril. They navigate through the fort's dark and winding passages, pursued by the enraged spirits. Each member is pushed to their limits as they face their deepest fears and confront the vengeful General's Ghost. In a climactic confrontation, Captain Carter and Sergeant Davis manage to trap the General's Ghost in the altar's sacred circle, using ancient rites they learned from Fuang. The entity's rage culminates in a final, violent burst of energy before it is subdued. The survivors are rescued by their extraction team, but they are deeply scarred by their experience. Crescent Fort is left behind, its dark secrets remaining undisturbed. Major Donovan's report details the horrific encounters, but is met with skepticism and disbelief. The story of Crescent Fort becomes a cautionary tale, its legend growing as it is passed down through generations. The fort stands as a silent witness to the suffering of the past, its ghost forever bound to its walls. Years later, Crescent Fort remains an infamous site of horror. The jungle has slowly reclaimed the ruins, but the echoes of the past still linger. Paranormal investigators and thrill-seekers continue to visit, drawn by the fort's dark reputation. Despite attempts to unravel its mysteries, Crescent Fort remains a place of malevolent spirits and unsettling occurrences. The ghosts of Crescent Fort continue to haunt the living, their pain and anger reverberating through the jungle. The Phantom Platoon. During the Vietnam War, many stories emerged about ghostly encounters and eerie phenomena experienced by soldiers. One such story, often recounted by veterans, revolves around the mysterious disappearance and haunting of a platoon known as the Phantom Platoon. This tale, grounded in real wartime accounts, brings together the horror of combat and the supernatural. In late 1967, a platoon from the 101st Airborne Division was tasked with a reconnaissance mission deep in the Quang Tro province, a hotbed of North Vietnamese Army activity. Led by Lieutenant John Thompson, the platoon of 30 men ventured into the dense jungle, their objective clear but perilous. They were to locate and report on enemy movements and supply lines. The soldiers, battle-hardened yet cautious, moved silently through the oppressive jungle. For the first few days, the mission proceeded without incident. However, on the third night, radio contact with the platoon was abruptly lost. Attempts to re-establish communication failed, and a search mission was quickly organized. A second platoon was dispatched to find the missing soldiers. The search team, led by Captain Richard Foster, advanced into the same area, only to encounter an eerie silence. The jungle, usually alive with the sounds of wildlife, seemed unnaturally still. As the search continued, they discovered abandoned equipment and supplies, but no sign of the soldiers. Tracks led deeper into the jungle, but soon disappeared altogether. The men began to feel an unsettling presence, as if they were being watched. Some soldiers reported hearing whispers and seeing shadowy figures flitting through the trees. On the fourth night of the search, the team set up camp. During the midnight watch, Private Michael Collins reported seeing ghostly figures moving at the edge of the camp. At first, he thought it was the missing platoon. But as he approached, he saw that the figures were translucent, their features distorted and eyes hollow. The apparition of Lieutenant Thompson appeared, his face twisted in agony. He spoke in a haunting whisper, warning Collins of a nearby enemy ambush. Collins, frozen with fear, managed to alert Captain Foster. Despite skepticism, Foster decided to take precautionary measures. Moments later, they were ambushed by an NVA patrol, but thanks to the warning, they repelled the attack with minimal casualties. After the ambush, the soldiers were convinced that the missing platoon was trying to communicate from beyond the grave. The jungle seemed to close in on them, the air thick with an unspoken dread. As they pressed on, the apparitions became more frequent and more desperate, as if trying to convey an urgent message. Sergeant Thomas Blake, a pragmatic and experienced soldier, started piecing together the signs. He concluded that the ghosts were leading them to the site of their last stand. Following the ghostly apparitions, the team discovered a hidden cave. Inside, they found the remains of the missing platoon, along with evidence of a brutal firefight. In the cave, they found journals and notes left by Lieutenant Thompson, detailing their encounter with a powerful NVA unit. The platoon had fought valiantly, but were overwhelmed. The last entries were haunting, describing strange, otherworldly visions and a sense of impending doom. The soldiers gave the fallen a proper burial and set up camp nearby. That night, the apparitions appeared one last time, more peaceful than before. Lieutenant Thompson's ghost saluted Captain Foster, and then the spirits faded into the jungle, seemingly at rest. The tale of the Phantom Platoon spread among the troops, a chilling reminder of the horrors of war and the thin line between life and death. Captain Foster, now retired, often reflects on the mission. He believes that the spirits of those brave men still watch over the jungle, ensuring that their story is never forgotten. If you enjoyed today's story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel, Mystical Tales, so you won't miss out on more eerie and thrilling tales in the future. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.